All right, this is Professor Pelton. This is Chapter 5, Section 1. So we're doing simple interest. So the principal is the initial amount that you're borrowing. It's not not like the principal in your school, right? Okay, so you make a loan, the initial amount that you borrow. So you buy a $20,000 car and you get a loan. The $20,000 car will cost more than $20,000 because you have to pay interest. So we're going to be doing APR, which is annual percentage rate. That's the yearly cost of the loan expressed as a percent. And we're first going to start off with simple interest, which means you just pay one lump sum at the maturity date, which is the end of the loan, right? So interest I is principal times rate times time, which is in years. Time is always in years. So we use P sub 0, R, and T. T for time, R for rate, and P sub 0 is the initial principal, so they use 0 for like the before time starts, like if it was P1 or P2, P3, it'd be farther down in time, but the P0 is the initial amount basically, so the $20,000 car is the initial amount. Okay, so I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to copy this and delete all the stuff except the letters just to kind of save some room here. Okay, make this blue, format, color, blue. Okay, that's good. All right, so this particular problem says we have a $1,500 loan, and it says we are paying 9%, which is 0.09, and the reason that is 9% equals, you wouldn't want to multiply by 9 because that's 9 times the amount, which is not 9%, right? That is 9 divided by 100 to get the numerical value, right? Which is 0.09, right? So that's 9%. That's the symbolic 9%, where this is the numeric value of 9%, right? So multiplying by this will actually give you 9%. That just gives you 9 times the amount if you times by 9, right? And then the time period is 1 year, so I'm just going to put a 1 here. Okay, and we're going to use spreadsheets. Okay, so we're going to go to office.com. So www.office.com and log in. I'm already logged in apparently, so that's fine. So once you log in, you're going to log in with your CCS&H email account, which is the same as your Canvas. Click on Apps and Excel and a blank workbook. Come on. There it goes, a little slow. There we go. Let's make this a bit bigger so we can see it. Come on. There we go. Okay, and it should, if you click over here in the top right, you can see your CCS&H account. Yours will say students because you're a student. Mine doesn't, obviously. Okay. All right, so we'll do I equals, and we'll shift that to the right. Okay. All right, so we want to figure out this right here, correct? So we want $1,500 time, oh, sorry, we didn't do the equals first, equals $1,500 times 0.09 times the 1 year, right? So it's the principal times the rate times the time, right? We put an equals first, so it will equate the answer. So I get 135. So my answer is $135 is the amount of interest I have to pay. So even though I borrowed $1,500, I'm going to have to pay interest on top of that, correct? Okay. All right, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. Let's copy this one again. Copy and paste. All right, so I'm going to change this to 8.5%. Right, so 8.5 and 85, correct? All right, if you need to, you can use the spreadsheet to figure out that math too, but it's just a matter of moving the decimal over twice and dividing by 100. All right, so this time it's a $5,000 loan, and the interest rate is 8.5%, but now it's a 2-year loan, so I'm going to do times 2 this time, right? So that is our new amount. Okay, so let's go to our spreadsheet. I'll copy the I equals. All right, so 5,000, I put the equals first, so it'll equate the answer. 0.085 times 2, $850. Okay, so for a $5,000 loan, it's going to cost me $850, assuming this is simple interest, right? There'll be other ones that are not simple interest later on. Okay, so if I add the original amount plus the interest, that's the maturity value, which is the amount at the end of the loan, right? The principal, it would be, in this case, would be the 5,000. The interest would be the 850. Both of those together, right, would be the maturity value. So essentially principal plus the formula we did before. So, all right, So this right here is the interest, right? Correct, which is this formula right here, right? And the 5,000 is the principal, correct? So notice how the principal's in here twice. Well, if you factor that out, you'll get this formula, which is the same thing, right? So if this formula and this formula are the same, the only difference is we factored out the p sub 0, which will give you the same answer, right? So A is the balance in the account after t years, or the maturity value at the end, essentially, right? Okay, because before all we got was the interest, right? So, but if you add that to the original principal, you'll get the amount that it's going to be owed. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to delete all of this. Excuse me. All right, so this is the maturity value, right? The amount that's at the end of the loan. Format, color, blue. Okay. And you can handwrite this, obviously. You don't need to type like me. Of the video, I'll type. All right, so the original principal is a $5,000 loan. And I have 1 plus the rate, which is 0.085, because it's 8.5%. And this says 2 years, so times 2. Right? Oops, I did a little wrong symbol there. Times 2. Okay. So that's going to be some amount of money, correct? So what we're saying is this formula here, right, if I didn't distribute, is the same thing. Right? So we're saying if we didn't factor out the initial principal, it would be the same thing, right? So I'd have 5,000, the original principal, plus the interest, which is 5,000 times 0.085 times 2. We're saying that's the same answer. So whether you factor the principal out or not, it should give you the same answer, right? Okay. So this is typically the formula that's used, though, you'll see in the book. But, you know, doing it this way is not wrong either. But okay, so let's do the spreadsheet now. So this is our amount. So where's our spreadsheet? All right, so I'm going to do it twice. A equals, and we'll shift that to the right. Okay, so the first one, all right, so we look at our formula, is this one right here, correct? So equals 5,000 times, parentheses, 1 plus the 0.085 times 2, close parentheses, right? So that's the version you usually see in the book. We get that amount of money. Let's do it the other way. Equals 5,000, which is the principal, plus the interest, which is 5,000 times the 0.85 times 2, right? So that's the other version, correct? Which is principal plus interest. Get the same answer, right? So either way you do it, you're going to get the 5,850, right? Is that what it was? Yeah. 5850. So you can do it either way, but the first one's the way the book is going to do it. We'll match up within the lumen. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm happy with that. That's the end of part 1.